Welcome, sweet friends, to the channel Frugal Money Saver. My name is Emmy. My husband is Paul. We're so happy you have joined us today. Today's video, we're going to be sharing 15 positive life changes we made in our 50s. And I'm going to preface this video by saying the changes we made, things we started doing, things we stopped doing in regard to so many things, finances. These 15 aspects we're sharing can be applied to any age. They would benefit any age at all. So please don't think this is just for midlife, but this is when we did our best thinking, our best economizing, etc. But basically this can be done at any age. Once you hit your 50s, you start realizing that you're kind of in the middle of a cycle. You've had 50 years to learn and to grow and to figure things out. And now let's make the next 50, God willing, even better. We've learned, we've grown. Now let's take all the positive things and move them forward. So we needed to look and figure out what worked and what didn't. And we're going to share that with you today. So let's get right to this video. So let's start with number one. Number one, once we hit around 50, we knew that we wanted Paul to retire at 55. He would have had 35 years with his government job. We knew we could vest his pension and he would get about 75% of his present income. What did we do from ages 50 to 55? We have always been frugal, always, our whole lives, but we needed to get down and dirty now. So we started tracking every single penny we spent. We needed to know, could we live on Paul's retirement alone? So we needed to track our spending. Any overtime came in, went right to the bank. We saved. Again, we've always been savers. We wanted to make sure that our dream of him retiring at 55 was going to be a reality, and we were able to do it. And we knew that that was one of the positive things we wanted to do in our 50s, was to make Paul's life easier so that he could retire early. Number two, Paul and I talked about our housing situation. Would we be able to stay in our home? We are mortgage free, but that doesn't mean we don't pay taxes, land and school, tons of utilities, just everything that goes with owning a home. Could we afford it? Did we need to move? We needed to look at where we were going to live at least for the next 10 to 15 years. For us, it was staying right where we were. This is our starter home. I know some people buy a starter home, then go to a bigger and then a bigger. We never did that. And that's one of the things I am so thankful for. We kept our starter home, and now while we are able and still physically able to take care of the home, we chose staying right where we are. And that works for us. It's economical. We don't need more space. If anything, we would size down. One of the best reasons to stay here was our family is near. And that brings us to number three. Number three, another positive change we knew was coming, is that we were going to be taking care of elderly parents. My mom passed when I was 52. As you know, if you follow our channel, Paul's parents are still with us. Paul's mom is going to be 92 in March, and Paul's dad just turned 94 in October. So we knew that taking care of our aging parents was in the cards as well. And we needed to meet that with a positive mindset. We started calling it blessing his parents or blessing my mom. And that's how to this day we still look at that. Paul's parents wanted to be independent. They wanted to stay in their home. They're still there. But that meant we needed to be a bigger part of their life. What we did was played on our strengths for this. I can organize. I can clean their home. I can cook for them. We can food shop. Paul takes care of as much maintenance of their home as he can. So we played on our strengths going into this because it was a part of our 50s. We knew this would be a reality. And the way we addressed it and the way we dealt with it was going to either be positive or negative. And we chose positive. And we just look at it as an absolute blessing. In our 50s, we really started to exchange things for experiences. We never really were big on the newest of everything. You can see by our home, we're pretty traditional and we buy good quality so it lasts. But we started really looking at upgrades and things like that as more of, do we have to do this? Is it a necessity? Or can we take the money we have and use it for experiences? Use it for enjoying what's out there, trips or being with family. And they don't cost a lot of money, but it was a mindset from our 30s to our 50s in saying, we don't need this stuff anymore. We don't need stuff anymore. We want to enjoy. We want to have experiences. And that was another positive change. Number 5, we started to cut out things that drained us or robbed us of our joy. A lot of times in your younger years, you can put up with a lot more, but as you get older, it becomes a little bit more difficult. I'm being honest. We started to cut out things that weren't good for us. Unfortunately, maybe it was people, or maybe it was situations, or like worrying about things we had no control of. We had to look and say, these things are robbing us of peace, of contentment, of joy, and looking at situations and saying, how can we make this better, became much more prevalent in our 50s for sure. Number 6, in our 50s, we stopped eating out as much as we used to. I'm not going to lie. In our younger days, we used to eat out a lot. And now I can't tell you how infrequently we eat out. First of all, it cost a tremendous amount of money to eat out. But secondly, we never felt good the next day. I would get a headache. We would be lethargic. The food just wasn't the quality that we were able to cook at home. So that's when we started really cooking from scratch full time. It just physically made us feel better. Not only was it a health benefit to eat home, but it also was so much more economical and delicious, honestly. So that is when we really stopped and said, this isn't working for us. We don't want to eat out like this anymore. It's actually not fun. So that has been a very positive change all the way around. Number 7, and this one may make you giggle, but this was one of the absolute best changes we made in our 50s. We rescued Dixie Belle. We rescued a puppy. It was from a kill shelter down in North Carolina, and she was brought up to us. And that little dog is the biggest blessing. We got Dixie literally 2 months before my mom passed. It was a tough time, and I remember my brother looking at me, and I said to him, I think we want a puppy. And he said, what a great idea. It would be such a wonderful distraction for you. And she has turned out to be our best friend. You know, she is the star of this channel, really. It was just such a blessing. Our son wasn't at home anymore, and she was a constant companion. She is our friend. She is a love. She is so devoted, just a plus all the way around. And now I know everyone can't or doesn't want to get a little pet, but for us, this was one of the most positive changes we made in our 50s. Number 8, something else that occurred in our 50s was we reinvented ourselves. We looked for ways to figure out what was next. You're sitting here with us right now because of one of those, hey, let's do a YouTube. It has turned out to be such a blessing. And we're constantly still looking to reinvent ourselves and to keep busy. Me learning to make sourdough, us volunteering at our local theater, Paul is constantly working with his ham radios and guitars. And guess what I just started doing? Some of you are going to giggle because maybe you do it too. I just started diamond art. I found a diamond art kit that I had bought several years ago when we were kind of all in our homes, if we remember that era, and I had never done it. I pulled it out, my new passion. I love it. It's so much fun. So now I'm doing diamond art. We constantly needed to keep busy and to enjoy life full time. Number 9, another thing we really started doing was becoming present in every situation we were in. So at a family gathering, we were more conscious to put our phones down. When Paul and I talk now, the TV is off. We try to realize that this is what is most important. When we have a family gathering and I look around at our family together, I mean, my heart gets so huge. When I think about my brothers, I can't tell you how much they all mean to me. Paul's family. Being present in these moments is shutting out the rest of the noise and clutter and being present with the people you're with in the moment. Number 10, we learn to not overcommit with out of the home activities. Maybe you'll get 2 invites in a weekend, or somebody needs you during the week to do something and then you have something on the weekend or whatever. We learned to not overcommit. We're very choosy about what we do and when we do it and who we do it with, honestly. And that has helped cut down on so many of those other areas where negativity or even being tired enters in. But we really try very hard not to commit outside the home over and above. Number 11. We definitely strengthened and solidified our spirituality. We are Christians. We have always been Christians. But I think as we got older, our strength in God became even stronger. We pray more. We will study the Bible together more. Our spirituality has become the foundation for every single thing we do. It always was, but I think as we have gotten older, it has become even more so. And that's an absolute positive for us. Number 12, we are constantly practicing gratitude. And I'm talking verbally, saying it out loud. I will say to Paul, thank you so much for doing the dishes for me last night. Or I want to thank you that you cleaned the snow off my car yesterday. We are much more aware of that now. Thanking others, thanking people who serve you in a store or wait on you in a restaurant. I know it might be manners, but just being grateful for everything we have, from the little to the big, like our health and family, things like that. We are constantly in a state of gratitude. Number 13, we learned to say the word no. We really did. And that one is still hard for me today. Paul's a lot better with it than I am, but I am one to want to please or to make happy or to serve. So I really need to work on that, and I'm getting better. But there are times when we just need to learn to say no. And this is something that, like I said, I'm a work in progress on this one. But in our 50s is when we really saw how necessary it had become to sometimes just say, I'm sorry, we can't. Number 14, we started to garden much, much more than we ever had. There is something so satisfying about growing something, caring for it, bringing it through, reaping the benefits of what you tended, the delicious fruits and vegetables, even if it's a little box of herbs in your kitchen. Not only does it supply you food, but again, there's that nurturing. It's bringing something to life and then nurturing it and seeing the benefits of what you have put into whatever it is you are growing. And number 15, which I think is one of our absolute favorites, is we never want to live with regrets. We don't ever want to look back and say, I shouldn't have talked to that person that way, or I shouldn't have dealt with that person in that certain way. We shouldn't have spent so much money on that, or I wish we had done. We really try to stop and think before we make big decisions, which of course anybody would, but we really try to look at things now as how will this affect someone else? How will it affect us in the long run? Take the chances that need to be taken. Don't take the chances that shouldn't be taken. And basically never living with the word, I regret that. We hope these 15 positive life changes we have made were encouraging to you. Again, these are not going to work for everybody. These are not everybody's cup of tea, basically. But for us, these were 15 things that we really cultivated in the last 10 years or so. And we are so thankful we have. Now, we're going to not eat out tonight. We're going to get into the kitchen and we're going to make a one-pan meal. I've showed variation of this in the past, but we're going to clean up a little odds and ends and make the most comforting, delicious one-pan meal in the oven. And then Paul is going to give it a taste test. So let's turn this camera around and get into the kitchen. These are our ingredients. We are going to make a roasted meat and vegetable one-pan dinner. We're making extra tonight because we just want to have leftovers. We have 4 Italian sausages that we're just going to cut into bite-sized pieces. I've got 2 sweet potatoes that I need to use up, 4 regular potatoes that I need to use up, a small pack of frozen green beans, and then about a half a package of frozen rainbow bell peppers. Look at the date on this. This was from July 14th. Look at how beautiful these are. That's why I tell you, if you can vacuum seal your food, it is just such a money saver. These look like fresh. We have a little container of cut up onion that we need to use. I'm going to add some rosemary, onion powder, garlic powder, and a little bit of Italian seasoning. And you can season this however you want, and I'm going to be using some olive oil as well. So let's just put this all together. I took the casing off of the Italian sausage and I just broke it into bite-sized pieces. I left the peppers whole and I left the string beans whole. And Paul is cutting up the sweet potatoes and the white potatoes. And we're going to add this all together. Now I'm just going to take a little bit of some good extra virgin olive oil, pour it over the potatoes. I'm going to give everything a mix. The onions are in here too. We freeze our vegetables on a tray first before we vacuum seal them. So there's no need to defrost. They just pop right out in whole pieces, which works so well. You have to remember also the Italian sausage is going to give off oil because we are not cooking them first. So that's a good thing. We're going to have a little extra oil with that as well as the olive oil. We're going to add a little rosemary, onion powder. Even though we have onion in there, we still want that good flavor. Some Italian seasoning, which we're just going to freshly grind right on top. And of course, a little bit of garlic powder. I'm going to give it a good mix. Our oven is preheated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And I just put a baking mat on my tray, which will hopefully make cleanup a lot easier. We're going to transfer the bowl right to this tray. If you're using a tray like this, make sure it is rimmed. You do not want a flat tray because the oil will go everywhere and you don't want that. So make sure it has got a rim all the way around the baking tray. Or you could do it in a 9x13 as well, but just make sure it's got a rim around it. Now we're going to put this in the oven for about 30 minutes and then we'll turn it. Okay, this is cooked for 30 minutes. Now very carefully, we're going to give everything a turn. Now we're going to put it back in the oven for another 30 minutes. And like I always tell you, if you're cooking something in the oven, put something else in. Bake some potatoes and put them in the refrigerator for later use. This way you're not wasting oven heat. Let's get this back in. We just took this out of the oven. It is still sizzling. Everything roasted beautifully. I can smell the rosemary. It's going to be just delicious, and it couldn't have been easier. I'm going to dish some of this up for Paul. Get him some sausage. This is just a bowl of goodness. Look at this.
Okay, we're here with the vegetable sausage bake that we just made. Man, I'm telling you, this house smells great. This is good. Let's try it out. I'm going to try a potato first. The seasoning is perfect, the flavor. Let's try a little piece of the sausage. That was delicious. The vegetables are tender, but they're not mushy. They're crisp. They got a fresh taste to them. The sausage gives it that salty, almost a sweet, salty flavor. It's just in the seasoning. Yeah, this is great, especially on a cold day like today. Absolutely wonderful. You got to try it. It's easy to make, tastes delicious. This is Paul approved.
So there you have it, Paul approved. That meal is just such a great way to use up a little bit of protein, vegetables, potatoes, whatever you have. Just a little bit of olive oil, some seasoning. You roast everything and it comes out heavenly. So put this one in your meal rotation when you're not sure what to make. It's a winner. Today's question of the day. What are some positive life changes you all have made in the past that you carry on through today? It could be anything, but a decision you made in your life to change for the better and just held on to it and ran with it. Please share that with us down below, because it won't only encourage us, but our viewers as well. And we thank you so much for that. We thank you again for spending this time with us. We ask that you please take a minute and hit that thumbs up. It helps us so much here on YouTube. Subscribe if you haven't. Come on in and be part of our frugal family. We ask you to be well. We ask you to be safe. And above all, we wish you blessings. Until our next video, may God greatly bless you.